Yoki dokie. Okay, so we are back to now talking about written syllable types. And there is an acronym that is sometimes used and I think was referred to maybe in the Birch book, in the Birch chapters that you read. I don't know. Maybe I got this from somewhere else. I don't know. Anyway, it's the word clover, and it can be a way to remember what the written syllable types are. And the ones that we've studied so far are closed. That's what the C stands for. Now, they're not necessarily in the order that we are studying them in the word clover, but the O in clover stands for open. So as you can see, we've got 2 of the 6 written syllable types that we've taught you thus far and that you will teach your students. Okay. So tell me about these words right here and what kind of syllable type, what kind of written syllable type are those? Oh, hi, Laura. This is in the decoding slides, which I also will share. I'm putting all of these links to all of these things in a document that I will show you in just a second. These are all open. And how do you know that they're open? What are the defining features of an open syllable? Well, it's written, so we definitely are going to talk about what we see happening in the word. Okay. Yeah, it does end with a vowel. So does the word tree. So does the word play. It ends with a single vowel letter. There doesn't even have to be a consonant involved anywhere. The word I is an open syllable. It has 1 vowel letter with nothing following it. So we see a final single vowel letter. Exactly. Good. Okay. Now you have taught this in terms of reading words that are open syllables. We spot and dot the vowel. We see 1, in this case, it's all E's, but we see 1 vowel letter in E and there's nothing following it. And so we know that it has the sound E. Good. Now what I want you to draw your attention to is as you look at these words, yo-yo, yes, yam, you, and your, what do you notice that's the same about all these words? What's the same about all of these words? Oh, I love the term of the use of the term initial, Andrea. They have an initial Y. They begin with an initial letter Y. Exactly. Now, tell me what sound, who remembers how to type in the sound that Y is representing? Yo-yo, yes, yam, you, your. Aha, yes. It's a tough one to isolate for sure. But we do have this initials. We know about the initial sound y, and it's like in the word yo-yo, and we spell it with a grapheme Y. Correct. All right, now I want you to take a look at these words. And I want you to ask yourself, what do I want my students to notice about these words? What do you think that we're wanting our student to notice about these words? Type it in the chat. Anything that you think that we might want our student to notice. A lot of times they end up noticing something that we don't really intend for them to notice, but they're not wrong. So that does happen sometimes, but that's okay. We acknowledge it and we point them in the direction we want them to go. All right, I see that, oh, it doesn't have any vowels that we've talked about. Oh, interesting. Okay, like that answer. They all end with a Y. Ooh, Ooh, they rhyme. So Mackenzie and Lauren said something about how they sound. Dry, try, dry, sky, fly, my. Excellent. Okay, great. Those are all some things I might have my student notice. What I particularly am interested in is, and I think you pretty much covered these, except maybe, how many syllables are they? Yeah, they are all one syllable words. Try, dry. I open my mouth once to say a vowel sound. Sky, fly, my. Good. Yes. And what is the vowel sound? You guys already told me this. It's oh no, you didn't tell me this actually, did you? The vowel sound that I hear is I, capital I. Yes, excellent. Very good. And where is that sound in the word? Dry, try, sky, fly, my. It's final. Yes. And finally, what grapheme is representing that sound I? Yes, it's the grapheme Y. So, isn't that interesting? Previously, I knew that Y could be could function like a consonant grapheme because it could represent a consonant sound, like in yes, yam, yo, yo, your. And now I'm learning it can also be it could be a consonant grapheme, or it could be what's the other kind? In these words, it's functioning like what kind of grapheme? It's a vowel grapheme. Yes, because it is representing a vowel phoneme. Excellent. So now I have this keyword fly, which helps me remember this idea that the letter Y can also be a vowel. And that's why I see it listed here in my reading column of my phoneme grapheme chart here. The grapheme Y can represent I, like in fly. But look also how what I need to remember is that it can also be spelling the sound I, right? But what do these two lines mean right here? These two like dash, these two, what are they called? Slashes? Final. That is right. That is what those slashes mean. So my question, oops, sorry, never mind. I'm getting to that. Just a minute. Hold that thought. So when I am decoding a word like this, I still dot the vowel grapheme. So what am I going to dot? What am I going to dot? Which grapheme? Y, yes. Are there any prefixes or suffixes I can box? No. What am I going to do with those consonants? Do I circle them, underline them? Yeah, underline. Oh boy, okay, find my pattern. So then I have, what's my pattern this time? Last time it was vowel consonant. Now my pattern is just a vowel. One vowel letter, exactly, with nothing after it. I have a final single letter vowel. Yep. Now I'm going to code the vowel. How do you think I'm going to code that Y? A macron. Yes, we already dotted it previously to mark it as a vowel. Excellent. But we code, when I say code the vowel, you're either going to put a macron, a brev, or you're going to circle it. In this case, I'm hearing a long sound, so I code it with a macron. Yes. And then I'm going to scoop my syllable. I try. Okay, so the lesson here is, how do I know what sound the grapheme Y will represent? How do I know what sound the grapheme Y represents? Has something to do with the number of syllables. What else? Specifically, it will be the sound I. If it's one syllable, what about the word yes, though? Yes is one syllable. That doesn't have the sound I. In a multisyllable word, it might say E, but we haven't discovered that in this lesson. What have we discovered about Y in this lesson? Aha. In the final position, got to be very clear about our thinking here. Y in the final position of a one-syllable word will carry, or will typically represent the sound I.
If I could just interject, especially those of you moving on to advanced year, all of this information is correct. One other little thing to mention is it's in an accented or stressed syllable. Because it's in an accented or stressed syllable, that's another reason why the Y in the final position is making the sound I. Happens most of the time, vast majority of the time in one-syllable words. We have a couple of two-syllable words, rely, deny. Do you hear how that's accented in the second syllable? So occasionally, very occasionally, a Y still says I in a two-syllable word. This is not something I want you sharing with your student. But try, sky, shy, my. Those are one-syllable words, and that's when it is most typical. But just realize the stress also means the Y is going to say I. Candy, it's saying E, because primarily that occurs in a two-syllable word because it's an unaccented syllable. So just keep that in mind. And Kara, can I just show them ASAP real quickly? Because this is such a perfect time to revisit that, because so many of the elements within ASAP are at work here. So if you all remember when we were together this past summer, that we know that our big question here is, what influences the sound of a grapheme? So it may be letters that are adjacent. In this case, with Y making the sound I, that's not a factor. The syllable or the accent very much is a factor. So typically it is a one-syllable word. Also, it's occurring in an open syllable. The accent or stress is a factor. It is a stressed or accented syllable in which the Y is making the sound I. And of course, the position is very important. We are seeing it in the final position. So 3 out of 4 of these situations that could influence the sound of a grapheme are at work when we're talking about the final Y. Okay, that's all I wanted to talk about.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for bringing that back around to ASAP. All these considerations that we have to make when we're spelling in particular, but also reading. Okay, so we did that. So now, when we get to PG mapping, the encoding section of the lesson, PG mapping, here's a little excerpt of the script for that. What is the student response when we ask them about the phoneme I What will the student say when we say I? What can spell I? What are they what are we expecting them to say now? Okay, good. I'm getting some answers of I and final Y. And then I'm getting a question. They only know final Y, right? I don't know. What have they been taught? They do know about the word I, but but we are not including that right now in this discussion. If we look back here, you see the only thing notice I haven't circled the letter I over here in reading. And I haven't circled the single letter I over here. I've only circled final Y. Because that is the way we spell the sound I in terms of what the student knows right now, final Y. So your answer here should be final Y. Then when they go to write it, they say final as they write these two lines. Oh, you know what? Just put it right here
Kara,
on
can
the
I
old
share,
whiteboard.
after you finish your thought, I'd like to share the concepts checklist and talk to them about a couple of things. Not just with the sound
Absolutely.
I, but some of the other open syllables, because that's been a little area of confusion.
Absolutely. So here we go. The student would say final. I don't know if you can see that. There we go.
There you go. Now it's not glaring.
Final Y. So that is literally what the paper would look like for the student during the PG mapping.
No, wait, it
Remember,
looks like you
guys,
put an I, it looks like you put an I in the front. Is that a number one?
sorry, this is the number one. We'll make it number two.
Yeah. Okay, there
go.
you go.
Remember, guys, we have only taught one syllable words. We have only taught one syllable words.
Yeah, so this is a little area of confusion. Kara, I've been seeing this in some observations. Have you also?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the situation, folks. So here's your concepts checklist and spelling defaults. You know the first page has the consonants, phonemes. We know the second column is reading, and we know the third column is the spelling, and then we know the fourth column has the keywords that you'll be including and pulling out when you teach the new concept, and then you're adding it to your keyword and sound deck to be used with for subsequent lessons. We know the second page is all about the vowel phonemes. Now, so far, it's been absolutely lovely because we've had these short vowel sounds. It's been really simple. You have apple and edge and itch and octopus and up. You have not introduced waffle yet. An A after a W also makes a sound off. That comes quite a bit later. You can see it's highlighted this blue, which is a level 2 concept. But let's go down to those long vowel sounds. Today, what we're talking about is the sound I being written as Y. So the second column here, this is reading, isn't it? So for reading, we're introducing Y, making the sound I like fly. When I look at my concepts checklist, I can see here, final Y is now a part of my PG mapping, like Kara was just saying. So we say I, the student's response is final Y, and you're following that script. You can see here, final Y, keyword card is fly. So you have mentioned the letter I standing alone is an open syllable, but notice technically that's not going to be like that was just a discovery. Like when they learned open syllable and you did he, she, we, me for the sound E. Okay, so because we need to talk about that because this has been a little troublesome for some folks. So the sound E back when you taught open syllable, and Andrea, I know you're about to do this lesson. For reading, you introduce it. But look here, guys, for spelling, you actually don't bring it in for spelling until level 2 because most of our open syllables occur when there's a 2-syllable base word. 2-syllable base, like the word fever, secret. Because he, she, we, me, be, they're very common words. They're also function words. We wanted you to be able to use them in reading. We wanted you to have them be a part of your lessons before you got to the level 2 level concepts, which includes vowel, consonant, vowel. So notice over here in your spelling, even though you've introduced E can make the sound E in an open syllable, and so you can read with that. We're not doing it for spelling until level 1 because with 1-syllable bases, ladies, E is typically spelled EE. Tree, three, feet, spleen, right? Eel. EE is the default spelling for the sound E in any position in a 1-syllable base. So you will be introducing relatively soon at the foundational level that double E. When you teach double E for reading, you also immediately implement it for spelling. That double E, and then notice final double E. The reason it's in both places is because there's multiple default spellings for the sound E in initial and medial position, and we have that double E and also Y as a vowel, like in candy, also making that sound. So we signify the sound E, the very first PG mapping response when you do the sound E is double E, final double E, as in the word tree. E is not going to be included, just E by itself as an open syllable until level 2. The same occurs with O. O has no, go, so. Ho, ho, ho. So you do introduce it as a reading concept. This can be included when you introduce open vowel sounds early on. But notice it is not included as a spelling concept. Oops, this should actually be green, blue. Oops, but not that. Should be highlighted blue. Little error there. Oh, and gopher should. Oh, I'm sorry. This probably caused a little confusion. Gopher should also be highlighted blue. Gopher is that 2-syllable word that shows the open O sound. So again, with O, even though we introduce O, no, so, go. For reading, we do not include it in spelling until level 2. When we teach which syllable type, would you type it in the chat? Which syllable type are the words gopher and fever and unicorn and paper and tiger? Which ones are they? And Kara, I can't see the chat just because I'm sharing the screen. It doesn't pull up for me here.
Gosh. Open
I'm sure you
syllable.
all said
All
vowel, consonant, vowel, because the most common way to divide that syllable is before the first consonant, causing it to be an open vowel in the first syllable. in words like paper, tiger, gopher, unicorn, fever. So if we get back to the sound I, then the first official introduction, not just a little discovery that a capital I says I, it means I'm talking about myself. It's an open syllable. That's just a little discovery. We're not including that in our responses for PG mapping, because most I's occur in a two-syllable base. Spider, final, right? So that's why with PG mapping, when we hear I, this first official level foundation grapheme is Y. And the phoneme is I, and our spelling default is final Y, as in the word fly. So I know that has caused a little bit of confusion for folks. So you should not be making this for encoding, you should not be having O yet. Because although they've learned O, no, go, so, it was just a little discovery. It was not a formal introduction with words like gopher, with those two-syllable words. Okay, that's a bit to sink in, I know. Questions? So please don't pull fever and paper and gopher into your keyword and sound deck yet. Those are not to be included yet, but fly is to be included.
And if you're following the concepts manual, they're not included there either. So if you've included them, it's been on your own, not because it's been in the scope and sequence of that, if that makes sense.
But do use your concepts checklist and spelling default to see that number one, it is a spelling default, but number two, that it should be pulled now. And the good news is, guys, this is the only time, this is the exception. This is the only time you're going to teach like the open syllable, but not actually pull the card and include the default spelling for PG mapping. Okay. Every other time when it's a default spelling introduced as a reading grapheme, as a grapheme period, it also will be used in spelling, again, if it is a default. But just check that concepts checklist. If it's listed there, keywords listed there, and you've got the spelling as a default, then yes, it will be included for your PG mapping, and it will be included for using in both spelling words and your dictation. Oh my goodness, the stairs. It's like,
It's all
how
right.
about smile? Oh, Pauline's smiling. Thank you, Pauline. I think you are. It looks like
Even
it.
if it's
Yay!
fake, you know what? Fake it till you make it, I think is the saying.
I know, but the problem is then we watch, and then that faking doesn't pay off. Darn. Okay.
No one said this was going to be
Kara?
easy.
No.
Right?
The
All right.
wonderful thing is you're learning so much. It pays off. You feel very empowered, and honestly, you feel very proud of yourself because you are learning so doggone much. And you're helping the kids at a deeper level than you ever have before. So yeah, it's a tough year. Absolutely. But it's not easy. And so the benefits are just that much greater. Oh, and there's Kristen's little baby girl. Oh,
Dempsey. Oh, hi. She just waved at me when I said that. Did you guys see that?
yeah, she did.
Okay.
She's learning to be a cow. She's learning to be a cow.
She's going to be reading before you know it.
Yeah,
I
she'll be
know,
reading
right?
before she's walking.
She's getting an early start.
Yes. All right, Kara, thanks for letting me interject. That's just something that's been coming up, and I'm sure it was a little area of confusion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.